Good afternoon. I am Tamara Koshecki. I am the facilitator here of discretionary funding things at the Jewish Community Council of Greater Coney Island's nonprofit help desk. Today's topic is going to be discretionary funding, submitting your pre-qualification and navigating passport. And we are very, very lucky to have several special guests today from the Mayor's Office of Contract Services that oversee the passport and pre-qual portal. So they'll be here to answer your questions. Before we start, I'm going to introduce Amy Fiore, the Nonprofit Help Desk Executive Director, to say a quick hello. Hi,
Hi,
Amy.
Thank you, Tamara. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll be very brief because you are not here to see me, and we have a really valuable and exciting topic to talk about today. But before we do, the Nonprofit Help Desk, as Tamara said, is a program of the JCC of Greater Coney Island. And we truly are here for you as nonprofit organizations. We're so glad that you are here for this free live workshop. All of our workshops are recorded and put in as archives as well. So you always have access to what it is we are presenting. We also have an active LinkedIn community. We'd love for you to follow us there. We're also just started up a Facebook page. I know we're behind the times on that, but glad to be there too, to continue to provide information about the services that we have, as well as free expert support, which I'll get back to you in just a moment. Tamara, if you don't mind advancing the slide for me. So what you see here is an intentionally dated list of workshops that we have so that you can see the real variety of what it is we are offering to nonprofits. We do many, many sessions focused on New York City Council funding, discretionary funding. We're even looking at doing some additional workshops. It's all about who is eligible, how do you go about getting that funding, what are all the steps that you need to take. We also do a series of workshops based on capacity building, everything from leadership to board development to fundraising to marketing, etc. And all of those are available on our website. You can register for any of them. They're always free. Or at our website, you can always peek through the archive. Our website is nphd.org, and always welcome to go back and take a look. We are also truly a help desk, and you see some of the variety of topics that we offer help on. If once you've watched a workshop, you have some extra questions, you really want to dive deeper on a legal question, a financial question, and something, board support, you want some feedback on a grant proposal, etc., we can help. So what you can do is go back to our website at nphd.org and fill out the request form. As far as our funding and our timing allows, we will continue to work one-on-one, pairing you with an expert in the topic that you are wondering about. Make sure you be really, really specific in those support requests, just so that we're pairing you with the right person. We may send you back to watch a workshop just to have a common language going in, but we definitely want to hear from you. That's all from me. You are in excellent hands with all of your speakers today. So thank you so much for being here, and we hope to see you again soon.
Amy, appreciate you joining us today. We're also joined today by several council members' offices. So today we are going to be co-sponsored by Council Member Susan Zong, and I know we have Jennifer here from her office to say a quick welcome. Jennifer?
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Thorpe Moscon. I am Councilmember Susan Swong's Director of Budget and Legislation. The council member is really proud to sponsor this event and grateful to the Jewish Community Council and the Nonprofit Help Desk for holding this important event. So thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Jennifer. We appreciate you in your office. We're also co-sponsored today by Councilmember Ina Vernikov, as well as co-hosted by Councilmember Harvey Epstein, Councilmember Amanda Farias, as well as Alexa Avila. So we appreciate the council members who are supporting us today. We also appreciate the council members who allocate their own discretionary money towards this program. And so all of our presentation series, as well as the technical support that we offer to you free of charge, is funded through generous allocations from council members, including Farah Lewis, Ina Vernikov, Susan Zong, and former Speaker Adrian Adams and former Council Member Justin Brannan. So thank you so much to them for sponsoring the work that we do to hopefully help you. Today, I'm very excited because we're going to be joined by members of the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, also known as MOCS. Presenters today are going to be Abram Rodriguez, who is an AmeriCorps Service Corps member in Learning and Development, as well as Grace Govan, who is an analyst at MOCS, at Mayor's Office of Contract Services, and a nonprofit specialist. So I'm going to turn it over to Abram and Grace. And we can continue from there. We are going to say, if you have any questions, please do put them at the chat, and we will be answering your questions towards the end of the webinar. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us and the JCC GCI for hosting us. My name is Grace, and I'm with the Mayor's Office of Contract Services Nonprofits team. Today, we will be going over how your organization can prepare for award designation and processing after applying for City Council discretionary funding. Next slide, please. Thank you. A bit about our agency before we get started. The Mayor's Office of Contract Services, also known as MOCS, leads procurement for New York City. We serve as an oversight and service agency dedicated to making it easier to do business with the city. One of the ways that we do that is with our digital procurement system called Passport. Next slide, please. Thank you. Today, we will begin with an overview of the discretionary award process before we dive into the city's requirements for moving your award to the processing stage. Then, we will close out with a list of helpful resources for everyone. Okay, thank you. Here's a general overview of the discretionary funding process from award application to payment. We will be focusing on the procedural requirements after you have applied and been cleared for your award by City Council. Next, please. Okay, so let's get started with procedural requirements for award clearance. For procedural requirements, MOCS checks that providers have met these 3 requirements in addition to City Council clearance, beginning with creating a passport account, submitting a pre-qualification application, and finally, completing the capacity building training. A member of your organization, board, or executive staff must complete the capacity building training for City Council funding. Once you complete the e-training, you will receive a certificate confirming that you have fulfilled the capacity building training requirement. Now that we've established the procedural requirements, let's talk about options you might have for contracting. For this year, FY26, the city embarked on an exciting new reform to pilot certain awards as grants. You may ask, what's the difference? Traditionally, contracts designate procuring of specific services and require multiple steps to ensure responsibility. Small discretionary awards were going through the same steps as larger competitive contracts, so the city introduced the grant pilot to reduce payment delays and improve efficiency. Let's start with what is the same between the two. As we went over, everyone must complete procedural requirements for award clearance. Compliance requirements apply to council each year and disclose any third-party contractors. The Department of Cultural Affairs, DCLA, has their own process, so they're excluded from our discussion here. When reviewing this Thank you. When reviewing this diagram, we would like to draw your attention to the final bullet points, which indicate that a contract is reimbursement-based payment model that requires invoices, whereas a grant provides upfront payment with receipts collected during the final grant report. In both cases where this is your organization's first year applying and receiving funding, the earliest you may receive payment is within 4 months of award allocation, and that would be through the grant pilot, should you be eligible. So it is critical that you complete procedural and compliance requirements by deadlines to ensure timely processing. If your organization is applying for and receives more than $25,000, you will automatically be routed to contracting, where registration and payment may take up to a year. For this presentation, we will specifically be focusing on the multi-year contracting pathway, which means we'll be working in Passport. In the next section, we will provide an overview of the digital procurement system, as well as best practices. Thank you. First, let's go over what Passport is and how to create an account for your organization. Here are some Passport basics. Passport is the city's system for managing procurement. Accounts are created by organizations, and the individuals within that organization that have access to the account are called users or contacts. Users can have different user roles or profiles, which are a different set of privileges that allow them to complete different tasks within Passport. Here are some of the things that you should know about requesting a Passport vendor account. To create a Passport account for your organization, you will need a NICE ID. A NICE ID is an email address and password that you will use to log into Passport. You can also use the same NICE ID for other city services. Note that this is not the same as an ID NYC, which is the city's identification program. There's a link to create a NICE ID online at nyc.gov/passport. To request the account, you will need to have the legal business name, tax ID number, name and contact information for the CEO or equivalent, and the business address. It typically takes just about 30 minutes to complete the request form, and then 1 to 2 business days for the account to be verified. Oh, you can click for the next. Thank you. The person who requests the account for your organization is designated as an administrator. We call them specifically the vendor admin. This role has the most privileges and can add contacts and assign user roles. Once you have your Passport account, vendor admins must log into Passport, update basic information in your vendor profile, update your contacts by adding users and assigning them a role, and then begin your pre-qualification application. Don't worry if you receive other alerts in Passport, just focus on completing a pre-qualification application for now. Now, let's discuss how to become pre-qualified in Passport. Pre-qualification designates, designates an organization as being eligible to provide health human services to city agencies or provide community services to fellow New Yorkers. To become pre-qualified, you must complete an application within Passport. Next, please. First, you need to choose the pre-qualification application that works best for your organization and its goals. If your organization is only interested in City Council discretionary funding, then you should submit a discretionary pre-qualification application. Moving forward, we will refer to this as the discretionary PQL. This is the shortest and quickest way to complete the PQL procedural requirement. If your organization is also interested in competing for health and human services contracts with city agencies, then you should submit a health and human services pre-qualification application. Moving forward, we will be referring to this as the HHS PQL. Reminder, there is no need to complete both applications. Thank you. Next. The process is the same for both lists. Here's a very simplified version of it. First, you will find the pre-qualified list in Passport, so you can create a new application or update an existing application. The application requires you to complete a questionnaire and submit filings documents. You can click for the next animation. Thank you. Once you've signed and submitted your application, you will monitor the application status as MOCS reviews your submission. You can click. Thank you. Okay, next. Now that you have a better idea of the PQL process, you'll probably want to think about who on your team will help you get stuff done in Passport. Recall that Passport accounts belong to an organization, accounts that have users, and all users must be assigned a specific role to access the account and complete tasks. You can click. The person who requested the organization's account is automatically assigned as the account administrator. They are granted a user role called vendor admin. You can click. The vendor admin is the only one who can manage contracts and assign user roles for a Passport account. Be sure to assign the members of your team to the correct user roles in your account. For now, focus only on the roles needed to manage the account and get pre-qualified. Users with either the vendor admin or vendor procurement level 2 role can complete or enter information and submit the pre-qualification application. Users with the vendor procurement level 1 role can only complete or enter information in the pre-qualification application. We highly recommend organizing and preparing before you start the PQL process in Passport. First, identify the documents that you need. Then, prepare them by making sure they are digitized, combined, and labeled clearly. Once you've done all that, you can then work on your PQL application within Passport. Use our step-by-step guide to work through the process. It usually takes between 30 to 60 minutes to complete the application if you have prepared ahead of time. The questionnaire on both PQL applications will ask you to upload documents related to your organization's leadership and policies. The HHS PQL questionnaire requires you to upload several documents. However, the discretionary PQL only asks you to upload 2. In addition to uploading documents in the questionnaire, you will also upload tax and financial documentation. The tax and financial documentation requirements are the same for both PQLs. Click. If your nonprofit is new to filing with the Charities Bureau, as in within the last year, you only need to submit the CHAR 410. Click. If your nonprofit organization has a revenue between $25,000 and $250,000, for example, you'll need to upload your most recent CHAR 500 and IRS 990 form. Click, please. If your nonprofit organization is exempt from filing with the Charities Bureau, because, for example, you're a religious organization, you will upload a 12-month financial statement and an exemption or a request letter. Thank you. All required documents must be combined into one PDF for upload. For example, if your organization's name has changed, you will need to submit a certificate of amendment with your certificate of incorporation in the questionnaire. You will need to create one document that contains both certificates, then upload the merged PDF to the questionnaire. If you are asked to submit filings documents such as the CHAR 500 and the IRS 990, you will need to merge both documents to create a single PDF file with multiple pages. There are several free resources that we've listed here for you to do this online. Now that you have prepared the required documents, it's time to head over to Passport. For this, I will be handing it off to my colleague, Abram. Thank you.
That's me. Thank you so much for your part of the presentation, Grace, and wonderful work so far on the slides. So, as you guys may or may not already know, my name is Abram, and we'll just hop right into finding the pre-qualified list in Passport. So, both pre-qualified applications are in Passport, and to access them in Passport, we must go to the Browse Pre-Qualified List page. So, from the RFX module on the top navigation menu, click Browse Pre-Qualified Lists. And if you can't see the RFX module, then it is possible that you are not provisioned with one of the correct user roles. On the Browse Pre-Qualified List screen, type HHS or the numbers 101 into the keywords field for the HHS PQL. For the discretionary PQL, you type in discretionary or the numbers 164. Then click the search button. Next slide, please. The search result will be displayed on the table below. Note that the label for the HHS PQL says HHS Accelerator Prequalification, but this has nothing to do with the decommissioned HHS Accelerator platform. This was the original name of the list when it was first developed, and we haven't changed it. To view the prequalification list, click the PQL ID or the PQL label. Next, please. When you open the pre-qualification list, you'll be on the Overview tab. The button shown at the top of the screen will depend on your organization's activity with the PQL. If your organization is new to this pre-qualification application, you'll have to click the Create New Application button at the top of the page. Next animation, please. Thank you. If you've submitted an application before, then you'll see the Update Application button instead. Next slide, please. To open the questionnaire, Click the questionnaire tab in the left navigation pane, then click the Access Questionnaire button. Next. After preparing your documents, it's time to upload it. Animation, thank you. Go to the Documents tab, then click the Manage Documents button. A pop-up window will appear, and click the Link File button, then select either Upload from Computer or Link from Passport Vault. Selecting Upload from Computer will save a copy of the document to your organization's Passport Vault, then link to this task in Passport Central. If the document is already saved within your organization's Passport Vault and has the correct validity start and end dates, then use the Link from Passport Vault option. Next slide, please. After completing the questionnaire and added the required documentation, you'll review your responses and then submit the application for review. You can monitor your application status in the Browse Prequalification such a mouthful. Browse Pre-Qualified List page. Next, please. After you submit your PQL application to MOCS, 1, MOCS will review your application in detail. Then, the user that submitted the application will then be updated via email. If returned for revisions, the email will contain instructions on what changes are needed to resubmit for approval. It will contain the email of the MOCS team member that you can contact directly should you need clarification. So, remember to keep an eye out for an email notification from Passport. And 3, pre-qualification is tied to your required New York State charities filings. So most nonprofits will need to update their documentation every year to maintain their approved status with the city. Now then, on to our resources. We'll share some helpful resources to help you get started on some next steps. Next slide, please. You can access our Learning and Resources Library page by visiting nyc.gov/learn passport. On that page, we recommend using the panel on the right to get to the topics that you're interested in. Can you click for the animation for me, ma'am? There we go. The discretionary funding section will provide more details about procedural requirements and how to complete them. Can you click again, please? There we go. All right. And now on to the next slide. If you need help with Passport, click the support section at the bottom of the menu. You'll see a link to create a MOCS service desk ticket and a PDF guide to help you use the MOCS service desk portal. Next slide, please. Another resource that we have to offer are discretionary office hours hosted by our lovely MPO team. These sessions provide discretionary awardees with individualized one-on-one support with vendor documents, submissions, budgets, and invoices. Discretionary funding is not available for for-profit businesses, Rachel. It's strictly a nonprofit funding opportunity. And leaving on that note, that is the conclusion of our presentation. So we will leave you with this overview of resources to help with your funding journey. And I suppose that since we do have time, we are open for Q&A.
We are open for Q&A. So Abram and Grace, thank you so much for being with us here and giving that amazing presentation. If anybody has questions, you are more than welcome to drop them into the chat and we can dive a little bit deeper if you have any specific questions about pre-qualification or Passport for your organization. Oh, it's quiet today.
We don't bite.
Quiet. We have one in the chat. LaShonda's asking, can new nonprofits apply?
Yeah, so new nonprofits can apply. However, if you are a new nonprofit, as in you've been incorporated only within the last couple of years, or if you are new to discretionary funding, as in you haven't received discretionary funding before, or you haven't received discretionary funding within the last couple of years, then there are limitations to how much funding you can secure. There's going to be a limitation on how much you can secure per city council member and in total. We have an HHS accelerated pre-qualification on file. Do we still need? No, you only need to do one or the other. The HHS PQL is also valid for discretionary funding, but not vice versa. Keep in mind that in addition to discretionary funding with an HHS PQL, you can also compete for health and human service contracts, which are more competitive.
We see that Jerry is asking in the chat that her organization's commodity enrollment still shows as pending, but everything else has been approved. How long does commodity enrollment take to be approved? And is there a help desk that can help with an update?
I am not too familiar with the commodity enrollment process, but we do have the MOCS help desk, so the MOCS service desk. So you can actually create an account and submit a ticket, and they can provide additional resources in regards to maneuvering passport, which also includes the commodity enrollment process.
And Grace, thank you for putting the link to that in the chat for our users. Going to jump back to Kimberly, who's questioning, did I hear correctly that the HHS accelerator was decommissioned and do we need to update to another application? We get this question quite a bit because they did not change the name from the Human Health and Services accelerator, and now we're still HHS prequal. So maybe we can unpack that a little bit and sort of explain what the two different platforms are/were and how that's happening now.
Yeah, so the HHS accelerator is before my time, apparently. So it's not related to the HHS pre-qualification. From my understanding, the HHS accelerator was one of the previous platforms that the city used for contracting. Somebody can always correct me, but they're not related at all. I guess they just didn't change the name. Don't ask me, but yeah, no. So if you have an HHS PQL on file, you've been maintaining it and it's updated, there's really nothing else that you need to do. Oh, there you go, Gabby.
I
All you
believe it
go.
was decommissioned about 2 years ago. Gabby, love to get you in here. Kelly, if we can help Gabby unmute and get spotlighted, that'd be great.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I can speak to that really briefly. Yes, so great question, and I understand the confusion. Yes, HHS Accelerator was the Health and Human Service portal that was primarily used before Passport, when Passport was still in its early stages, and HHS Accelerator was like the main kind of portal for things like getting pre-qualified and commodities, etc. However, we did sunset. Apologies for any honking in the background. We did sunset that platform, like it was said about, I'd say, a year and a half to 2 years ago at this point. That platform no longer exists, no longer functions. However, the pre-qualification application was carried over from it into Passport. And so that is why it still shares that name, but it's no longer linked to that portal. So now, as said during the presentation, there are two different ways to get pre-qualified. You can either do the discretionary PQL, which is shorter, but that's only if you are only looking to be funded through discretionary means. And then the HHS pre-qualification application, and that is separate. And that's for anyone who is looking to not only maybe secure discretionary funding, but also do business otherwise with the city. So the pre-qualification application and the platform are two separate things. The platform was decommissioned. The pre-qualification is still good, still functioning. So if you do have an HHS pre-qualification application on file in Passport, then you would just continue monitoring the status of that application and making sure it's up to date. But you do not need to worry otherwise. I hope that makes sense.
That was the wonderful Gabby Katz from MOCS. Thanks for jumping in and fielding that one for us. Appreciate it. LaShonda asked in the chat, can fraternal organizations apply, such as sororities? And Grace, you're welcome to jump in live if you want to answer that chat question.
Yeah, sure. So it's a requirement that any organizations applying have to be incorporated as a not-for-profit. and either registered with the Charities Bureau or provide exemption, because that's definitely a situation that we see a lot, and have a valid EIN.
Quick question, and let me know if I'm out of the water here for you. But are either of you able to sort of explain on why some organizations may not have to file for charity? So why are they exempt from filing charities? You don't get to decide you're exempt. The Charities Bureau has to decide that you're exempted, right?
Oh, it looks like Gabby is willing to speak up.
Go for it. We love Gabby.
Yeah, Grace, if you don't, I can take this if you're okay with it. Yeah, essentially it comes down to an example of this would be a religious institution, for example. So, something like through a church or through another facility that, isn't your typical nonprofit, right? But they are also, they need to work with the Charities Bureau and go through all those checks and balances. And so that's an example of maybe uh, an institution that would be provided exemption, but also still receive funding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. I know there's quite a few of them out there, and it gets a little sticky. Um,
Yeah, and
just to make sure, they don't self-determine.
right, yeah, exactly. They don't self-determine. It's kind of the best way to kind of know is you know is contacting your city council person for your area and in advance of applying for city council funding and checking with them, establish that rapport early on and that connection early on, because they know that people will be applying, and you can pick their brains about it and they can kind of put you in the right direction. And so when you apply, you can, you might, there might be certain, as said earlier on, like certain stipulations depending on how new you are and, what your standing is with the Charities Bureau. But, overall, good to check in with city council early on.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much, Gabby. If there's any parting questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. We would love to take just a couple more questions if you have them. I think it's Miriam Fatima asks, what are the chances that you would get approved for the discretionary grant? How much time does it take for approval? And could you give any example of a nonprofit that serves youth counseling and games and food pantry and helps immigrants with different services that got rejected for the grant? So I think you're a little bit out of our purview here. How are your chances that you can get approved for the grant? I think that's a discussion that you would have with your council members' offices that you have applied to. And how much time does it take for approval? My question there would be, are you talking about for award, or are you talking about from award to contract? So happy to cover either one of them or both as helpful. I can say that for discretionary grants, you're applying in February. Usually it's due mid-February of each year. So this year it was like something like February 20th, thereabouts. And then the city budget is normally sorted and approved by July 1st. That's when New York City starts its new fiscal year. And that's when, thereabout, within a few days, is generally when you'll see what's called the Schedule C get published by City Council. And the Schedule C generally will say who is awarded discretionary funding. There's some exceptions because some things are allocated in later what's called transparency resolutions throughout the year, August, November. But for the most part, you would know by July whether or not you were awarded funds. To go from award to contract is totally different question, and that really depends upon the city agency that you're being partnered with, who's going to implement your award. Your city council members' offices do not implement the award. So let's say it goes to Department of Youth and Community Development, which does something like 80% of all discretionary award contracts. You're looking at a good 6 to 8 months probably. And hopefully in that time, you already have your pre-qualification and your passport all sorted out. So thanks for the thumbs up. Happy to dive into that deeper if you have more questions. Wonderful. Are there any other questions? Happy to field them. In the meantime, would love for you to scan this QR code. We'll also put a link in the chat because we love feedback, and your feedback really matters to us. It helps inform which webinars we're going to hold, where your questions are, where you need the most assistance. So please it only takes a couple minutes. And I know everyone's always asking for a survey, but this one's for free services. So please take a second and scan that survey. Really appreciate it. In the meantime, thank you to the amazing team at MOCS for being here today, which includes Gabby Katz, who was talking to us a little bit off camera, as well as Abram and Grace. Thank you so much. I'm Tamara Kashecki. I'm the facilitator of discretionary funding webinars and workshops here at the Nonprofit Help Desk. And we hope to see you on a future webinar. Go to our website, NPHD, to check it out. And we will talk to you all again soon. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
Our
everyone.
pleasure. Kelly, you can stop recording.